For Prodigy, what is on store for 2024?
I think with the drilling that we've done this year, which targeted Tregony, Hyperion, and in and around those, we'll continue that as our focus, as our strategy for next year.
Hello, investors, and welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Well, friends, the saying goes that local knowledge is king. And that's why I am thrilled today to be joined by Mark Edwards, Managing Director of Prodigy Gold, because Mark is based in the Northern Territory, which is exactly where Prodigy's project is located. And we're going to hear all about that. And also, importantly, as investors, how we can profit alongside Mark over the next year and the future to come. Now, before we get to Mark, just one last thing. You know, here at 180 Markets, we always bring you exclusive, interesting content. So to receive more of that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and this will make everything so much easier for you. And now back, Mark, welcome to 180 Markets.
Thanks, and thanks for the opportunity to tell the Prodigy story.
Great. Hey, Mark, everybody's got a story, and yours is a Northern Territory story. In just a couple minutes, can you just give us your background?
So, a geologist by training, and grew up on a farm in country South Australia. Studied there, and obviously with the working in the mining industry, has travelled all over the world and had opportunities to see a lot of great places. But I've spent the last around 14 years, nearly 14 years, based in Darwin, working for a few companies on a few projects based in the Northern Territory. So went there as an opportunity, had a young family, and had an opportunity to work where I could go home every night, which I did when I was working out of Pine Creek. And I've been there ever since. We didn't probably plan to stay as long, but a very typical story of going to a place like Darwin and only think to be there for a couple of years, and 14 years, and seen my eldest daughter just finished year 12 and gone right through her schooling in the Northern Territory. So I'm very proud to be based and very happy living with our family up in Darwin.
Yes. Hey, Mark, it's incredible where life can take you, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky, and now I had the opportunity to join Prodigy in May last year. They were looking for an opportunity to have an office based out of Darwin, which is very unusual, especially for a listed entity. Our head office is in the city of Darwin. It's an opportunity for me to stay where I'd set up my family and work on a project that, ironically, in the Tanami region is where I started my career, straight out of university as a graduate mine geologist, working in the central Tanami mine in the sort of mid to late 1990s. So back to where it all began almost.
Great. And speaking of Tanami region, can you just tell us a little bit about this gold district? Has it been prolific in the past? Just what are the types of grades and so forth, and what makes it exciting?
So the Tanami is probably a less understood gold field. It's got one of Australia's most successful gold mines currently, which is Newmont's Tanami operations. They produce anywhere from 350 to 500,000 ounces a year. So they're a very large scale mine. It's one of Newmont's most successful mines. So that's just in our backyard. Not too many more of that scale. It's high grade. It's much larger than most of the discoveries to date, but it doesn't mean that there's not opportunities to find something similar. So for us, there's the Central Tanami project. That's over 1 million ounces in total. Inventory and production over history, where I started after a few generations, and they're in the progress now of continuing exploration rights on our doorstep. And then just across the border, you've got Black Cat, which has got the Coyote plant. It's in WA, but it's still part of the same district. And they've just released recently a scoping study for their project as well. So we've got a big operation. We've got two operations looking to path to reopening, and then we've got our projects on the doorstep of those.
Right. So this region, what I'm hearing from you is people don't quite understand what is up there. And also, I'm curious, Mark, a lot of exploration was done in the 1980s and 1990s, as you said, when you first started out. Fast forward to today, where with modern mining techniques, could this be an opportunity for investors?
Absolutely. So, a lot of the mines that are looking to restart are old operations. So, looking into getting to sulfide ores, hard ores. The exploration we're doing is focused on pits that have never been mined, and resources that still have the oxide component. So that's where the opportunity for us lies. Ground Rush is just to our south. That was they produced just over 1 million ounces at a grade of about 4 to 5 grams per tonne.
Wow.
And that's the target that we're sort of trying to find, another 1 million ounce. But when they discovered Cali for Newmont, they didn't know the scale and the size of what they had there as well. So that's evolved over time in mining. So the opportunities for us to find that sort of 1 million ounces would be a fantastic target for us to discover. But we're in a gold field that has a mammoth resource at Cali. So the idea of finding more million ounce in the same district is statistically not unusual to find a deposit of that scale close to something as big as Cali.
Right. Certainly makes sense. And the way obviously you got to find stuff is to get out there and drill. But before that, you recently did a gravity survey. I believe it was done earlier in the month. What were the learnings from that?
So we're in the process of going through that and getting a geophysical consultancy to pull that data apart for us. But what we're finding is it's identifying targets that haven't had previous exploration works. You've started with geophysics, you start with surface geochemistry, it's just pulling those together to identify potential new targets. One of the challenges we have with our projects, and Hyperion's an example of that, is the mineralisation is on two orientations. So it's on a north-south as well as an east-west trending package. So what we're looking for with this ground gravity, it's a lot more detailed. It gives us the opportunity to try and identify both north-south and east-west trending mineralised targets, which you can only really discover from soil geochemistry, more detailed, or drilling. So this will help us identify potentially new unidentified exploration targets.
Right. And speaking of learning more information, I believe that you have a drilling program underway. Is that right?
We've just finished one a few months ago now. We're still waiting on results to come through.
That's right.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the results have been a bit delayed. We're hoping to get them all back by the end of November, but they'll be pushed back just with the issues at the lab. So we have released some results. All the Hyperion results were released a few months ago, which were some fantastic intercepts, both in the resource itself and to the south at a prospect called Brokenwood, which is about 7 kilometres further south. It's had some drilling in the past, but very limited. So, it highlights there's still potential for further discovery in and around Hyperion.
Right. So we're waiting on still some more results to come, and they should be out, would you say, over the next couple of months?
Yes, yeah. So probably looking early in the new year now, just for the delays, and we're leading up into Christmas, and
yes,
I'm going on holidays, and everyone else sort of quietens down over that period as well. So we'll probably look into the new year for those results coming out.
right. And then as far as obviously as investors, it's always about the future. 2024, which is really around the corner, literally at this point in time here.
Yeah.
For Prodigy, what is on store for 2024?
I think with the drilling that we've done this year, which targeted Tregony, Hyperion, and in and around those, we'll continue that as our focus, as our strategy for next year. Looking to grow resource in and around our existing resources. And if we identify any potential high-ranking exploration targets from the ground gravity work that we've done, then we'll use that to try and do some sort of bit more greenfields exploration, but it will be in close proximity to what we already have.
Right. And you're somebody, as you said, you're a geologist by trade. You're not afraid to get out there and turn the bit, if you will. Can you just talk about your philosophy, and also importantly, just how many meters, what should we see as far as the size of the program for 2024? Because it's awfully tough to make a big discovery unless you're out there.
Yeah, for us, we've stepped away. When I first started, we did a deep diamond hole. So we've stepped away from diamond, and we're going to focus on our RC drilling. The total number of meters, that'll really depend on success as well once we get the final results come back. But probably around the sort of scale of what we did this year, sort of that 7,000 to 10,000 meters of RC drilling in that Tanami North project. We are also considering what we're going to do at Buccaneer. There's a potential that we could to look to do some further work there, but that'll be dependent on how it goes at Hyperion, and at Tregony is our main focus at this stage. But we've also got the Lake Mackay project. At this stage, we're probably not looking to do any drilling in 2024 around Lake Mackay. That'll come in future years. So we've got some exciting targets down there as well. But because we've got a base at Tregony and the success of the drilling to date, we'll just focus on that over the next 12 months.
Right. So certainly you have a lot of activity, and that activity does cost money. But to help pay for that, we noticed that you do have a number of joint ventures. Can you just tell us like how you think about capital management?
So joint ventures are incredibly important to us, especially the partners that we're using. We've got 2 joint ventures with Newmont in and around their operations. So they are very active. They're a great team to work with. They've got a great bunch of geologists that we meet regularly with, talk through their programs. For all of us, though, in the Tanami, just one thing, I guess, is we're moving into the wet season, so our exploration in the field sort of quietens down this time of year, and we move into the planning and reporting and resource modelling phases. So same for those guys. They'll look to get active again in the field early next year. We've also got a joint venture, Lake Mackay. There's 3 joint ventures there with IGO. We've got one with Castile as well as IGO, and then we've got a gold JV where we've got 70% of the tenure, and then we've got a base metal which we've got 30% of with IGO. So those guys have been very active in the past. They've been a bit quieter in the last sort of 12 months, but we're looking to advance that project in the near future. So over the next 12 months, a lot of review of the data, particularly focused on gold potential for Prodigy in the Lake Mackay region. And we regularly meet with IGO, and we've always had a really good working partnership with those. But I guess the reason they're important to us, at the start of the financial year, we had 27,000 square kilometres of tenure, which is a lot for a company of our size. So JVs are important for us to be able to manage those projects as well.
Right. And also, does it, in your mind, have a vote of confidence that companies like IGO and Newmont, that they think enough of your projects that they're worthy of putting their own capital into them?
Yes, absolutely. So, and like I said, we are a junior, and Newmont's certainly not, and IGO's not either. But we have a great working relationship with their crews and their geologists and their management. So they've been really approachable, and we can discuss things, how to look to advance our project, particularly with IGO. And Newmont are fully informing us about how everything's going. And look, exploration as a whole, we relinquished a few tenements as part of the Newmont project, but did that with communication with them. They'd explored and decided there was no point exploring in those areas, and they're focusing on other portions of the joint venture, which to us is how exploration works. You look at an area, and if it's not prospective, then you move on to the next one, which is what they've done.
Yeah. And Mark, just to touch on that point for a moment, one of the most difficult decisions, as you said, is to look at information and maybe pull back from that. I always think to myself of a great book or a great author, if you don't mind knowing, which is Annie Duke, a world famous poker player. And she talks about how to say no, or how to basically throw in the towel a little bit. What are your thoughts about that?
So we just relinquished, and we've been trying to divest a couple of projects. We just relinquished one of those, which was the North Arunta project. A lot of money to hold on to tenements as they get older in the Northern Territory, which is how it works. You got to spend more money and spend more on rent. So if you're not looking to explore those areas, it can be a large financial burden if you're just wanting to hold on to them. People use the word land banking, but that's certainly not what we were trying to do. So for us, yes, there's always a risk in relinquishing an area, because someone could come in and discover stuff, but that's the nature of exploration. So first port of call, try and sell JV, and if you can't, then you just have to make the tough decisions and reduce your holding costs.
Right. It certainly makes sense to us. Hey, Mark, conscious of time and certainly of your skills and so forth and so on here. In conclusion, if there were a couple of things you wanted everybody to know about Prodigy, what would they be?
So Prodigy, where 100% of our tenure now is in the Northern Territory. So we're based there. We know that a lot of companies are looking at lithium, battery minerals, rare earths. We are a gold-focused explorer in the Northern Territory. Very proud to be based in the Northern Territory. It's not a well-understood jurisdiction. It's a great place to do business. I can call up the minister, or you can bump into the minister at events, and they know who you are. We can see our regulators quite easily because we're based here. So they're very open for business. There are challenges like everywhere you go. which you have to work your way through. But what I find is, because you're dealing with such a small community, if you need to meet and talk to people face to face, it's certainly something that you can achieve relatively well. So I encourage people to have a look. And we've got co-funding with the NT government, which were announced in our office in May this year, where the minister was in there with the TV cameras, all just announcing everybody's grants, of which we got 2. So they're looking to advance the economy, and they see mining and exploration as a key pillar to advancing that, and they support it in such a way.
Right. Hey, Mark, thank you very much. We look forward to a very exciting 2024 with a lot of drilling, a lot of results, and a lot of activity.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to keeping everyone updated, especially when you get good results for what I did this year. They make press releases, fun to write. They write themselves, which is always good.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark, and be well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye-bye.